moving quickly, another handoff to Rankin. Rankin finds a hole, he's at the 30, makes it to the 20, he's got one man to beat. Rankin walks into the end zone. Into the backfield, Braden Wright looks over top, he's going to try to find a man, he's got Alec Tatum. Tatum bobbles it, but he's in the end zone. What a connection between Braden Wright and Alec Tatum. Handoff to Rankin, Rankin right up the middle, and he's in the end zone for a Bearcat touchdown.
That the views expressed in today's show do not reflect the views of KZLX, KNWT, or Northwest Missouri State University. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
I'm Sam Steimer, and I'm with, as always, by Sam Reeves and Stephen Merz. But we also have a new addition to the Weekend Sports Kickoff crew, David Dirks. How you doing?
Good, I'm doing well. I'm glad to be on here.
Yeah, first time on the show. We're glad to have you. As we had Sam Gall last week, and Sam, you did a great job of filling in for me. I was not here last week.
Here's the thing with that. I enjoyed myself, but I definitely, after those 2 hours, I'm like, yeah, that's your job. You can keep it. That's your job. I'll sit over here.
I wouldn't get too comfortable because sooner or later, it might be your job.
At some point, I'll take over. But for now, go ahead, keep that job.
As we have a lot to talk about as we'll get into our first segment here quick as talk about some Northwest basketball. As they had a doubleheader last night against the University of Nebraska-Kearney. The women, unfortunately, we'll start there. They had a great game. They played a really tough Nebraska-Kearney team. Nebraska-Kearney came in with a record of 17-3 on the year, and number 3 team in the MIAA in Northwest. I believe it was a 53-50 loss for them, but it's a great performance and tough battling down the stretch. I believe with 55 seconds left, Mia Stillman hit a 3 at the top of the key to push it to 3 points, and that's what really got Northwest going down the stretch, and just unfortunately not able to close it out.
Yeah, I really give Austin Meyer and the Northwest women a lot of credit because this wasn't a game they were supposed to win necessarily. Northwest did everything right for the most part in the game. They really battled tough against like you said, Sam, a very, very talented UNK team who, third in the MIAA, ranked in the top 15 in the country. I believe they came in at 14 in the entire country. I
think so, too.
So, this is not a game this Northwest women were supposed to be in, and they, took the Lopers right down to the wire. And it, because of how big of a game when it comes to the spot in the season that one was, it does sting a little bit, I'm sure, to not pull it out. But it, going into Saturday against Fort Hays State, you kind of feel a little bit better about yourself than you might have felt, if the game could have gone like a lot of people thought it would. Mm-hmm. So that's a good momentum, even though you didn't get the win.
Yeah, and you never really like to, especially I'm the firm believer of I hate moral victories.
Sure.
A loss is a loss. You lost the game, but still last night could definitely go under the category of moral victory. You only lost to the number 14 team in the nation by 3 points. So. And you played in the first half. Northwest struggled offensively a little bit, but they really picked it up in the second half. In the first quarter, really, they played well enough on offense and also played good on defense. To hold Nebraska-Kearney at the end of the first quarter. It was 12-6 Northwest. So, Nebraska-Kearney came out and kind of heated up in the second quarter with an 18-point second quarter. So. But Northwest, after going down at halftime, didn't come out of the halftime break out of it. They came, still very much in the game and battled all the way to the end.
An important stat here, as I'm looking at scores by quarter here, is Northwest scored 19 points in the fourth quarter, and that really, there really is nothing to hang your heads about this loss. We've rehashed it already on the show, but after this game, you really can. This women's team can go to their next battle thinking, we just gave that team a run for their money. We can give anybody a run for their money. It really kind of just showed them the potential this team has when they're firing on all cylinders. And they weren't firing on all cylinders the whole game, but it just goes to show what could happen if it does happen.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the first game in this series in the series between Nebraska-Kearney this year. Northwest did not shoot well at all.
No.
They kind of got beat down early and stayed down in the game in Kearney, and so they didn't allow that to happen this time out. They shot a lot better than they have been They shot 38% from the field, 27% from three. So it was an improvement on on this last 3-game losing streak that they were having. The last 2 games against Washburn, they didn't shoot very well. So this is definitely a building block in a very important game on Saturday if they want to make the MIAA tournament, because Missouri Southern did win last night, and so if Northwest wants to get into the MIAA tournament, they have to win against Fort Hays State, the number 1 team in the MIAA, the number 7 team in the nation, and they also have to hope Missouri Southern loses too. The men's side of the men, really put on a clinic last night from the very get-go. And this is a team that likes to slow the pace. Is one of the few teams in Division II that goes slow, works the shot clock. They did not do that last night. They they pushed the pace a lot in this one, and they immediately from the opening tip, got the lead and didn't look back, getting a 95-59 victory over the Nebraska Kearney Lopers. And this is a Kearney team that only lost to Northwest by 10 at Kearney. So
statement game,
something like that.
You could say that because this is the first game back for Northwest, being the number 1 team in the nation, and you could mention going into the MIAA tournament, and also you have Northern State, who is in their conference tournament now, who was that number 2 team in the nation but lost, who's definitely keeping an eye on Northwest. This could be a statement game for them. Showing Northern State, who's going to be that 2 seed in the Central Region tournament most likely, showing them like, hey, we're for real.
Especially because they're hosting the Central Region.
I don't know if it's in their home gym,
but either way though, it's in their city.
It's in their city, Aberdeen, South Dakota.
Northwest might have a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth because of it, for good reason. I don't blame them at all for that. So and I was a little concerned going into this game, knowing that UNK only lost to Northwest men by 10, like you mentioned, Sam, but also because Northwest, wrapped up their MIAA championship by themselves. They are the outright winner of the conference once again against
They got revenge over Washburn.
Right, on Saturday. So I was worried this was going to could be a trap game for the Bearcats. You're coming in against a team that is inferior to you by if you look at the standings,
and a team who's probably not going to make the MIAA tournament.
Right. So
those are the trap games usually.
I was worried that could be the case, but like you mentioned from the opening tip, that was clearly not the case. And Northwest, statement game indeed, came out and lit the world on fire last night.
Yeah, they really did. Diego Bernard getting 21 points in this one. Also, 6 rebounds and 7 assists. Also a block and 2 steals. So Diego Bernard everywhere.
Like always.
In the stat sheet. Just like always, though, Luke Waters, this second leading scorer on the team, last night he had 15 points, 3 of 3 from the 3-point line, 6 of 7 from the field. And when he needs to, Luke Waters can turn it on. He's kind of a player that just kind of lies in the weeds, and like when he needs to have a big game like this, he does.
Steps up.
Yeah, and definitely, Sam, interesting point to make here is Northwest shot amazing last night. 68%, that's great. And important note to make here is they only shot 3 free throws. And they scored 95 points. That's efficiency at its finest.
Yeah, and I saw a stat today that Northwest, their Twitter tweeted out, out of all Division I, Division II, Division III, Northwest leads the nation in points per possession. And they showed that last night, scoring on basically every single possession.
It doesn't shock me.
They have more points per possession than Gonzaga. That is really surprising. That says a lot about how good this team is, and they're all they're up there in offensive efficiency too, in all divisions. So this is such a good team offensively, and also you mentioned the 21 points and the 15 from Luke Waters, as Trevor Hudgens and Ryan Hawkins also added with 14. So. Just an all-around complete performance by this Northwest team, and especially those 4 there, or those 5 in the start. Those 4, West Dreamer also in the starting 5. Didn't get the love last night, but he can turn it on when he needs to. Now we'll get into Division I college basketball, as there's been a lot going on. They had couple games last night. in the top 25 that turned out to be pretty good. As one of those games we actually picked on day-to-day picks, and actually it was a lot better than I anticipated. The Boise State-San Diego State game actually went into overtime last night.
It went into overtime, and
I was hoping Boise State would pull it out, but they didn't.
When we checked out the score earlier, San Diego State had the game in control, and then all of a sudden I look at it later, it's like it went into overtime? Wow.
Yeah, it went into overtime. San Diego State picked up the 78-66 victory over Boise State. Also, Michigan State getting a 71-67 victory over Ohio State, number 4 team in the nation. So Ohio State now 2 straight losses. One not a terrible loss because they lost to the number 3 team in the nation. But this one, a bad loss because Michigan State is not very good this year.
They're not very good.
Maybe they're better than we all anticipated, though.
That's right. Here's the thing.
Because Michigan State's coming off wins against Illinois and Ohio State now.
Right. Michigan State, if they win 2 of their next 4 games, is going to be in the tournament. I'm calling it right now.
We still have the Big Ten tournament to get through too.
Right.
But their next, they have 4 games this in this stretch. 4 more games to play. They're at Maryland.
Winnable.
That's winnable. They play Indiana at home. Winnable. But then they end the year at Michigan and then against Michigan in East Lansing. I don't know if they win either of those 2 games. Because Michigan is really good right now.
I would have never picked them to beat Ohio State, though, either.
I would have never picked them to beat Ohio State either. But, they did, and so
we'll see.
We will see. Michigan picked up a 79-57 victory over Iowa, and that is why I don't think Michigan State will beat Michigan, is because Michigan, had its way with Iowa last night. Luka Garza, only 16 points, and Franz Wagner for Michigan, 21 points. So Michigan really, just flat out stopped Luka Garza altogether, and got a big victory over the Hawkeyes. As also in action last night, I have to mention it, Gonzaga.
Congrats.
Played against Santa Clara last night. Had a scare. They were only up by 2, I think, at halftime.
They always do that.
But
blew them out in the second half.
Blew them out in the second half, winning 89-75 and picked up a victory. So the Gonzaga Bulldogs, number 1 team in the nation, still undefeated. Got one more game until they have to close out the season. They got one more game to see if they can end the regular season undefeated, as their last game will be against Loyola Marymount,
who's I think 3rd in the WCC. Right
They're
now.
not a bad team.
No.
Not a bad team at all.
Speaking of not a bad team, I'm going to bring it up, even though you're probably not going to like it. BYU with the 79-73 win yesterday. That's not really why I'm bringing it up. San Francisco, who's not bad. But the reason why I'm really bringing it up, I know we're talking about top 25 and BYU isn't in the top 25, but they're receiving votes.
Yeah, they're receiving votes.
And the reason why I really brought it up is because Alex Barcelo, star point guard for BYU, had 29 points last night on 7 of 7 from 3.
Wow.
That's
wow.
good. Those are good
really
numbers.
Good. 7 of 7 from 3 is really good.
Yeah. So, just thought that was worth mentioning.
Fans, David, are you a Chiefs fan?
Oh, big Chiefs fan.
I think that the worst possible place that you'd want him to go is the Raiders. Because that would be a good fit, I think.
They got a good team.
With Darren Waller, Henry Ruggs, and and Nelson Aguilar, too.
Josh Jacobs at running
back. Jacobs at running back. That's a good offense. That's a good offense for the Raiders.
Gruden's definitely building that slowly.
Yeah, and you
they still have a draft pick, too.
Yeah, and you have a draft pick this year. I don't know if they're going to go offense or defense.
Go defense on that pick.
Probably should go defense, but if they add Russell Wilson, that's just even more scary.
Yeah. But like I said, Sam, I don't see him moving.
I don't think
Russell
so,
seems like a class act guy. He enjoys his time in Seattle. They haven't really done anything coaching-wise to kind of screw him over or upset him, kind of like they did in Houston.
No, it's not a Deshaun Watson case at all.
They didn't trade away a star receiver for a bag of chips or anything.
That's right.
So, I don't think he'll do anything. I think he's just showing Seattle that you don't own me,
Sure.
Kind of getting some talk out there. And there's a CBS article, I believe it was. Yeah. CBS article had something put out a couple hours ago that Russell Wilson, in quotes, stormed out of the meeting with the offensive coordinator after their ideas didn't jive. So that could all just be a typical that might happen all the time. But
I think they got a new OC though.
maybe that's why he's upset.
There.
Maybe the OC and him aren't gelling.
Yeah.
But that's still a good team in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I don't see
really good
why
foundation.
Russell Wilson would want to leave. He doesn't want to leave. He said it. He said it himself. He doesn't. But it's interesting to see that we could see Russell Wilson in a different uniform.
That's weird.
It is weird
very
to
weird.
think about.
Well, outside of just liking Russell Wilson and the person he is and the player, that would give them $39 million in dead money if they traded him.
Yeah,
the
it'd be-
Seahawks would still have to pay.
Be a lot of dead
Right.
money, and it'd be even more than the Eagles have with Carson Wentz.
Mhm.
I
And
think.
that's just
So
just
it's
insane by
a lot. It's a big hit, but the return would be a great for Russell Wilson because I think the asking price would probably be 3 first-round picks,
Yeah.
and maybe a player or two.
It's a and probably maybe a quarterback to
Yeah, a quarterback,
fill
a
in,
bridge quarterback
right.
for the future.
Yeah, I was about to say, if they do get rid of Russell, which way are they going to go for quarterback, do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think
That's a good question.
If they
because
do get rid of Russell this year and like get a top 5 pick or top 10 pick or something, I
you
mean,
draft somebody.
you got to draft someone this year maybe.
like Zach Wilson or
Yeah, Zach Wilson.
There's some talent in-
Obviously,
some
they're not
talented quarterbacks.
Zach Wilson. If they get high enough, maybe Justin Fields.
That'd be cool.
I think Justin Fields is going to go. I think 4 to the Falcons, so they got to get ahead of them.
Mac Jones, maybe.
Mac Jones. I don't think they should take
He's
him
the
at
next
all.
AJ McCarron.
Matt Jones is AJ.
You guys are
McCarron.
big. Yeah, I've heard you guys say that a couple times now.
Yeah,
But,
I've said that in the past. I'll keep saying it. Mac Jones is not going to be a good NFL quarterback.
No,
Uh,
it's not.
And
I think the big thing is obviously Russell Wilson's a great quarterback, and I feel like they just relied on him a lot. So
Yeah,
if they can
but
build around
also-
him, I think they can
yeah.
go back to what they were a couple years ago,
Agreed.
making that
well,
run
he's
for the
got
Super
good
Bowl.
weapons around him. We got Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
They have a good running back by committee. So the main issue is they don't have an offensive line.
Oh,
Russell
my
Wilson has to
goodness.
run for his life every single play, and I think that's maybe what's got Russell Wilson a little bit upset with Seattle is they're not doing anything to
protect him.
address the offensive line issues.
He doesn't want his career to end because of
Definitely.
injury.
I mean,
Yeah.
because we all saw what
In the
happened
Super Bowl.
in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to win like that.
No.
Yeah.
And so, if Patrick Mahomes can't do it, then Russell Wilson can't do it. And so, they're definitely not going to win a Super Bowl like that, and they need to draft an offensive lineman this year probably. So, if Russell Wilson is traded, maybe hope for him to go to somewhere with an offensive line.
It is interesting, to note though, with the whole fallout with Earl Thomas and then Marshawn Lynch, there have been a couple situations with not a good ending of a relationship with Pete Carroll.
Well, Marshawn Lynch
players.
came back.
Yeah,
He went to the Raiders, but then came back after retirement.
that's a good point.
I think he played a
couple snaps.
little
couple,
bit.
Yeah.
a couple
Okay.
games with the
Yeah, a
Seahawks
little
when
bit.
they were literally down to the bare bones running backs that they had.
Okay.
They were down to the practice squad running backs. So
Yeah.
he'd spend a lot of time on the field, but he came back. So
Okay.
It says a lot about him.
it says a lot about Marshawn Lynch, and maybe it wasn't because of Pete Carroll. Maybe it was because of the love he has for Seattle. But yeah, I think Russell Wilson loves Seattle. I don't think he has any gripes with Pete Carroll. It seems like him and Pete Carroll gel well.
Yeah.
So it's mainly just be that maybe he's has some beef with the offensive coordinator. Doesn't like how the GM is putting the direction the organization is going.
And it doesn't hurt to gauge who's interested in you either if you're Russell.
Yeah, if you can get a good
That
return,
doesn't
get
hurt.
3 first-round picks and a
No.
potential quarterback that you could be a bridge for your future quarterback, why not?
And I think the big thing
because Russell
he
Wilson is
mentions-
going into his 30s, so he's not going to last that much longer maybe in the NFL.
The big thing that was mentioned too was he's you don't own me, and I think that big thing is maybe just them understanding that the value that Russell Wilson has for the team.
Right.
And I think maybe that's what he's trying to get
It
across.
doesn't hurt to
Maybe
ask.
call their bluff a little bit.
Yeah.
Season right around the corner as MLB just getting started. The finally getting into full team workouts and games start Sunday. So Sam, I think me and you are probably, and also Steven, most excited for this. But baseball's finally back and it's just about to get started.
Pumped up. It's super, super exciting time of year. Baseball, like you said, Sam, is back. We got a full season ready to go.
Fans in the stands.
Fans in the stands, we think, which is a good thing.
No more cardboard cutouts.
No more cardboard,
There may be
or at least a
some.
lot fewer, which
Yeah.
which would be nice. It's I got my MLB.TV subscription the other day, which means I'm officially ready to go. Baseball is back and ready to rock. It also means that warmer weather should be on its way, which is also good. But I'm excited, to get a full season back under our belts. Hopefully it'll be able to be done safely and everything, and we'll be able to go without, a hitch. But I'm just really glad baseball is back. That is my favorite sport, so I'm ready to roll.
It helps it's outside too.
You're
Yeah.
right. True. That definitely does help things.
Yeah, it definitely does. But baseball is back, and Dr. Fauci said he's cautiously optimistic that fans will be able to return to the stands. And it's now time for everybody's favorite segment. It's Off My Rocker. And David, it's your first time doing Off My Rocker, so we don't usually do this, but we usually save the last one for like the person who goes like the wildest, who does the best. But since you haven't really done it before, we'll save you for last.
All right, sounds good. Mine might be pretty wild though too.
Maybe never know. It might be the most wild out of all of us. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Mine's nothing crazy. Going back to football here. I saw an article about this a few days ago. We're going back to the whole Dak Prescott thing.
Okay.
Excuse me, the Dak Prescott thing. I was going to get crazy with like a 3-team deal, but I'm just going to stay with 2.
Stay with 2.
Russell Wilson's going to go to the Bears for Nick Foles, Jimmy Graham, and 3 first-round picks, 2022, 23, and 24. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But he'll turn the Bears around, all right, Bears will be a decent team.
Fine.
But ultimately, they're going to lose in the NFC Championship to my Green Bay
Packers.
So that is my off the rocker. Russell Wilson, the Bears, doesn't make a difference because, big man Aaron's in the division.
Big man,
So
That's right.
that's my off the rocker.
No, you are off your rocker because
I almost brought in the Raiders into that and made it get real crazy. Bro.
I don't think. Well, I don't think Russell Wilson's going to the Bears. I think if anybody's going to go to the Bears, it's going to be Deshaun Watson. But also, if they do, the trade in itself, probably going to send Mitch Trubisky, not Jimmy Graham, to Seattle. Maybe both. Who knows?
Did the Bears still have like 7 tight ends on their roster?
They might.
They probably do.
Throw a couple more on there.
So maybe throw Jimmy Graham and Mitch Trubisky, and that gives some space for Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
Who's going to be good?
He's supposed to be a very good tight end. So, but I mean, no, because even if that does happen, I don't think the Bears are good enough to go to the NFC Championship.
You
If they
trust
get
Mitch?
Wilson, they might be. I mean, this isn't the craziest take I've ever heard, but you're definitely off your rocker.
Yeah, it's not the craziest
Good
thing,
one, though.
but it's a good starter one.
It's a good start.
Good one to start the day.
I think I got to go next.
You
Mine's
wanna
not
go
very
next?
hot either. Well, kind of is. I'm going to go to the NBA, which is bizarre.
I think he did that last week too.
I did?
I don't know. Someone did.
I don't know. Somebody. I did that for my lock of the week.
Lock of the week. You went NBA.
And it's going to kind of be similar. I'm going back to my Utah Jazz. That's my NBA team.
my
If I had
gosh.
to pick one, I know you don't, for good reason. The Jazz are currently the 1 seed in the West. A lot of people say, they're not going to keep that away from the Clippers.
They're like
and
the Atlanta
Lakers.
Hawks from like 2012, whenever they had the 1 seed.
Right. So here it is. They're going to get the 1 seed at the end of the regular season. They're going to still be the 1 seed in the West. Okay, great, whatever. But then also, they're going to sweep their way to a national or do an NCAA title or an NBA title. You know how much I follow the NBA. I just called it the NCAA. They're going to sweep their way to an NBA championship. They're not going to lose a single game their entire playoff run.
You're on the road rolling away. You're not even on the porch anymore.
I'm in the next county.
Yeah, because that's not happening.
I do like the Jazz in the playoffs. However,
Thank
I don't think they'll make it past the second round. Honestly,
I don't know. I like Donovan Mitchell. I like Rudy
Gobert.
I'll say his name.
I just-
all the time, but yeah,
I just don't. I don't like the Jazz.
I
I
know
don't
you
think they'll make it that far in the playoffs.
they're not very flashy.
No, they're not flashy.
They're not
but they get the
flashy,
job
but-
done.
They're kind of like the teams we're talking about for baseball. Those
Yeah.
teams. I guess you could call Donovan Mitchell a star. But
Donovan
He
Mitchell
is,
is a
but
star.
he's all they really got as a star. The other guys just get the job
Rudy
done.
Gobert is an all-star too, so they have
Calmly.
2 stars.
Now I don't know much about NBA. Where those guys both picked by
Yeah,
drafted by the Jazz.
yeah,
they weren't like
Gobert
accusations.
Gobert and Donovan Mitchell both
came
drafted
through the system. I guess
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Okay, so I
they-
can respect that a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the Jazz, that's not going to happen.
Other county. I'll
Other county.
take it. Let's go.
Other county. So now I'll go. Save David for last. I'm going to the NCAA, and
Shocker.
going to my favorite
Here we
Cinderella. Going to my favorite Cinderella story of all time. UMBC. They're going to get the 15 seed in that.
Okay.
I think it's Region 4, and they're going to have Villanova at the 2 seed. They're going to beat Villanova.
Okay.
And
How bad?
I don't know. They
They're gonna beat 'em.
They beat Virginia by 20.
Yeah.
But this time they only beat them by like 5 or something.
Okay.
But they're going to beat Villanova, and then they're going to march their way to the Elite Eight.
Oh.
And they're going to become, I think, the first 15 seed to ever make the Elite Eight.
That would be.
That sounds about right.
Because I think Florida Gulf Coast has made it the furthest at the Sweet 16.
Right.
What year was that?
That was like 2011.
Yeah.
2011
that was a fun
or
team to
12,
watch.
yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, but UMBC to the Elite Eight, 15 seed.
No.
The Retrievers.
That would be incredible, but you're off your rocker. I think you're off the porch this
Okay.
time too.
It's fine.
You think you're 100 yards past Sam down there?
Oh, pass.
No, I think we're pretty close to each other on this one. I
Maybe.
think. Yeah.
So, David, the first
there we
one.
go.
Yep.
Man, where are you going with
I'm staying in the NCAA, and I'm actually
I like
staying in
that.
the same region.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna hurt myself and break my heart again with this Mizzou pick,
Oh,
but
no.
Knew it was coming.
first time in Mizzou program history, we're gonna get to the Final Four
And
basketball.
boy.
they're going to lose in the Final Four?
You know, I won't answer that. I'll just say they'll
Leave
get
it
to the
at that.
Final Four. Yeah. We're not
Okay,
gonna-
so when you said you break your heart, I thought that's where you were going with that.
Well, I'm breaking my heart because I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Very likely
okay.
we lose this first if we make it this 64 game. But
Okay.
you know, Final Four appearance, first
Yeah,
time in
you're
program
pa-
history.
You're about 100 yards past me and Sam.
I don't know if I go 100, but you're definitely past us a little
past
bit.
me. and
I'd,
Sam.
I'd say you're past him.
That's
man.
a
I'm
good
Mizzou
one.
fan.
That was a good one to end on. That was
That's
great.
good.
It's
MIZ.
MIZ, baby.
Oh, boy.
For your first off my rocker, that was good.
That's good.
David, as that will do it here on the Weekend Sports Kickoff. Thank you for listening and also watching on the KNWT Channel 8 Facebook page. We'll be back next week.